Hey everyone, what's going on? Yokuo here, and welcome back to Super Mario Bros. For the anniversary celebration on Yokuo Plays. Today, the thrilling conclusion to which route will I take in this random castle. I know, big surprise, especially if you've played this before. What's going on here is there are different paths to take. Only one path is the correct path, which is the path that I took. If you go the other way, then you loop around back to the beginning or the middle point, depending on where you're at in the castle. But we made it, as Small Mario even jumped right over that Bowser Koopa, and we get a Toad. You know, joy. Meanwhile, the second half of the game, 5-1, this is where things start to get a little more difficult. I just want to say, I love the white trees in 3-1 and 5-1. In 3-1, they always made sense to me, because, nighttime, they wanted to really contrast. But here, I don't know, I like it. Is it snow? Is it just something different? I don't really know, but I really like the variation here. Meanwhile, on screen, we have invincibility, and we are rampaging, and we hit a pipe. Of course, I could have gotten the coins in here, but, Continuing on, more turtles, and the end of the level. So that 5-1's down, and we continue on to 5-2. But will there be fireworks? No, there will not. Continuing on at 5-2. 5-2 is a bit of a mess, especially because I'm Small Mario right now. You start out with that Bullet Bill, and there's a Hammer Brother. I don't know how I killed him. Just to be clear, I have no idea how that happened. I'm pretty sure I jumped on that hammer. And I instantly regret taking this pipe, because it's a, you would think it was a bonus section, but no, it's an underwater level. Not even that. It's got a bunch of gaping pits. Now, the pits are always hard because they kind of suck you down. Also, I should have died right there. That I had under control, though. But the pits suck you down, and the platforms push you down. So, good times. Speaking of underwater, the bloopers are actually very easy to manipulate. If you're standing on the ground, they won't hit the same box as you. So they'll always stay one box above you. And by that, I mean that the bottom of their pixel won't hit the top of your pixel if you're Small Mario. If you're big, you need to crouch down. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to take some damage. So they're easy to manipulate in that way. Whenever you're swimming, though, it's a little bit harder to do. When you're swimming, you just really need to be careful, but the same basic rules still apply. They'll bounce up when they hit about your midsection if you're big, or the top of you if you're small. Of course, you can swim into them very, very easily. One firework. So there's a little tutorial on avoiding the bloopers. It should make underwater levels significantly easier for anyone having trouble with that. Now, some levels in this game are rehashes of older levels. 5-3 is a good example of that. 1-3 and 5-3 are the same level, only this has bullet bills and the platforms are a little smaller, and it might have some more enemies, I'm really not sure. But either way, it's pretty much the same level. So if you can do 1-3, you can do 5-3 without a whole lot of problem. Also, this isn't limited to only these regular levels, as you will see very shortly. In fact, so shortly it might surprise you. World 5-4, for a completely unique original castle experience. Okay, that's big. This is 2-4's castle all over again, except harder. More fireballs, more, I think they're called potaboos? I'm not sure, it's the fire sticks. The spinning fire sticks. There's a lot more of them. But it's the same level. It just has more hazards. Like in 2-4, that didn't have a fire stick on it. Also, I thought I was going to die there. And no, when I'm talking about fire sticks, I'm not talking about the Amazon product. Or, is it Amazon? I think it's Amazon. Now here, remember earlier in last part I was saying that the enemies are disguised as Bowser. There's an example of that. That Bowser was actually just a Lakitu. And because we killed Bowser, we didn't need to take down the bridge. So when we grab the axe, nothing happens. We get our Toad, of course. And we know the princess is in another castle. And then we move on to 6-1, where it's nighttime again. Except now everything's green instead of white. So, was it a mistake the whole time? Should 6-1 have had the white trees and 5-1 not? I don't really know, to be honest. I have no idea. That would be interesting to know, actually. And now I'm just being, a little show-offy, doing some duck jumping, which is not the same as duck hunting, which is another game that's on this cart. or at least the version I'm playing, has Mario 1 and Duck Hunt on it. A lot of people who played the NES probably had that version of the game. I don't know if we'll ever hit Duck Hunt on this channel. We might eventually someday figure out a way to do Duck Hunt. We'll see what happens. But for now, we have crouch jumping in World 6-1. And we're already at the end-ish. Just get that running start and that duck jump. We didn't get the full 5,000, but hey, you have to pay the price for flair. Speaking of flair, 6 fireworks. Continuing on to 6-2. I skipped the middle block. I don't know why, it just kind of happened. And we have more duck jumping, and unfortunately for me, I duck jump right into this pipe. Even some of the underground sections are repeated. This is the same water section from 5-2, but about 10 times harder. And that. The platform did its job and pushed me down. So let's try this again. 6-2 from the beginning. I don't have to start the underwater section, thank goodness. Which is good, because I don't really want to. But now I'm looking for exactly that. Just kind of wanted to mushroom some insurance, just to be safe. We're skipping over that underwater section because I just don't want to deal with it, and honestly, there's no reason to. I can deal with the plants much easier. Now that I look at that one spot back there with the little hard-shelled dude, I don't know what their name is. I wonder if there was a one-up over there. There might have been. Speaking of things in bricks, I didn't realize this at the time of playing, but in the 2 bricks that I skipped over on the top left, there is an item. I think it was an invincibility star, but I don't remember for sure. I found that out because of, reasons. But those reasons don't really matter as I jump very slowly to the flag. Honestly, World 6 is probably the world I'm least familiar with in the entire game. Also, I love this level. It reminds me of the original Game Boy. The whole black and white color scheme. I don't know why they did this. I don't think the Game Boy was even out when this game came out. I think this just kind of happened for fun. Also, I have 1 life left, and there is no life 0 in Mario 1, so this is it. Will I live? Will I die? Find out. Soon. Probably. But I really like the color scheme here. It's just so interesting and different from anything else in the game. Speaking of different from anything else in the game, that's exactly why World 6 is the least familiar to me. Usually I play this game doing warp runs, and it's been so long since I haven't done a warp run, or that I've done a run that's not a warp run, I guess is the better wording for that, that it's just hard to remember what exactly is going on. So yeah, I went into all this blind. Fun fact, I may have mentioned it at the beginning of the last part, I don't remember. Either way, I'm saying that because I'm kind of impressed with my progress here. That went fairly well for me. Speaking of fairly well, we are going into 6-4, 4, 4, 4. And unfortunately, the castle is not black and white. And you can only really tell that from the fire traps. Also, this is just 1-4. That's all this is, 1-4, part 2, Electric Koopaloo. Trying to time that carefully because you have 2 fire sticks and... No, Podobo might be the fireball. I think Podobo's the fireball. And I accidentally take the hit because I'm not really used to 6-4's castle. Also, yeah, there are hidden blocks here. I don't know why they're there, but there are 5 in total, I believe. And I got hit by the Bowser Koopa. So, yeah, as you can see, I have 3 lives now. My score is probably slightly different. I didn't game over and have to backtrack. No, don't be ridiculous. That would be silly, good sir. Also, a difference between Mario 1 and some of the other Mario games. If there's a fire flower on screen, but then you get hit, you don't get the fire flower perk. You only get the mushroom perk. It gives you a extra hit, basically. Other Mario games undid that, so if you hit a fire flower in Super Mario World, for instance, you will get the fire flower regardless of your current stature. Also, right here, I just decided, forget it, I can take the hit, I'm taking the hit. I'm also trying to keep it different on how I beat all these Bowsers, so, you know. Something different, something unique. And our princess is in another castle. So we go on to World 7 with more white trees. And a lot of bullet bills. Like, way more bullet bills than I'm generally comfortable with having. And that's only going to ramp up as we get further in the game. So, you know, that's fun. And speaking of things that ramp up the further we get into the game, a hammer brother that decked me right in the schnoz. Usually, whenever you fight hammer brothers, there's a power-up in their bricks. Usually. That is not always the case, and here it is not. But that's alright. I can do Little Mario, not a big deal. Little Mario and I are tight, yo. I mean, Mario has a segment on my channel, so of course we're tight. Alright, here I had to time that very carefully, otherwise I was gonna take a pounding from that hammer brother. Luckily, we made it through. Nothing up there, but I did jump to the top to avoid all that madness. And I will absolutely take that mushroom, and avoid that spring. I'm completely fine with that. And you may be wondering right now, why was there a mushroom so close to the end of the level? Well, that's a good question. I'm kind of wondering the same thing. I don't really know. I'm not arguing I needed the mushroom, but eh. And the dreaded pipe means that we are going to a water level. So welcome to World 2-2, but harder. And normally the harder levels aren't that big a deal, but here there are extra barriers and a lot of bloopers. Bloopers, even though we've been over how to kind of manipulate the bloopers, which is also what I'm doing right now, it still makes it a lot more difficult. So here I just want to be very careful. Slipped right through. They also have a bit of a timer. You can kind of judge whenever they're going to bounce back up and manipulate that accordingly. So honestly, underwater levels in Mario 1 are just a lot of enemy manipulation. There we go. Yeah, words. So there it didn't work. I think that has something to do with how high up I was, because I was pretty close to the top of the screen. And he has to not pop off the top whenever he goes back up. So he had to go back down a little bit more to go back up. This has been Programming Mario 1 back in 1985 with Yokuo, who, you know, clearly I know what I'm talking about. Clearly I was alive for this? Question mark face. Continuing on to 7-3. Yeah, 7-3 is 2-3 but harder. Welcome to Flying Fish Extravaganza. Also, it occurs to me, I'm calling some of these levels difficult, and some of you are probably sitting there going, but Yokuo, what about the lost levels? Well, my friend, no. Just no. I have played and beat most Mario games that have come out, especially the main series ones. I have never beaten lost levels. It's hard. For those that don't know, there's American Mario 2, or I guess it's probably rest of world Mario 2, but Japan knows it as Mario 2 USA. And there's original Japanese Mario 2. Japanese Mario 2 didn't come to America because it was deemed too hard. It was a game made to basically continue where this difficulty level left off. Speaking of difficulty, welcome to another castle maze. If I go the wrong way, I have to loop through an entire section again. Luckily, I can drop a little bit like that and it not freak anything out. I just need to not continue that path. I think there are checkpoints along the way that set all that up. Also, I just took a hit, which is really bad because, you know, Bowser. But the invincibility frames lasted long enough for me to swipe right through that. So 7-4 was at least a unique experience, but not quite, you know, it's not quite 4-4, but it's the same vein. Welcome back to World 8, which is where I'm actually more comfortable with again. When you're doing a warp run, you end up at 8-1 at the end of the warp run. Also, the reason I'm jumping here like an idiot is there should have been a 1-up mushroom right there hidden in an invisible block. But much like the 1 and 3, 1 and 4 one, it didn't pop up when it should have. Not too sure why. Also, we are now done with the repeat levels, everything else would be original. But going back to what I was explaining about Mario 2. Also, invincibility star, yeah. Going back to the explanation of Mario 2, Japanese Mario 2 was meant to pick up right where this game leaves off, which means it gets very difficult. There are also new hazards like a poison mushroom and wind. Yeah, wind, and springs that launch you 3 times as high. Real quick, back on what's on screen, that gap that I just jumped over that had a 1 block radius to deal with, that was the bane of my existence as a child playing this game. It's still, to this day, even though I know how to handle it, to this day, it makes me nervous. It's a pain. It's a huge pain. Nintendo, you were evil for putting that in there. I love you, Nintendo, but come on. Now there's a hidden mushroom that should have been there. But it's not an invisible block, and I think that makes the difference. I am, however, grabbing it for safety. I just noticed, if you get a 1-up mushroom, it doesn't give you points. It's worth 0 points. That's no fun. Okay, play leapfrog over the bullet bill. And this jump also can make you kind of nervous, because if you mess that up, you're going right into the pit, because you don't have the momentum. Grab a coin, continue on. So I've never beaten Japanese Mario 2. We might cover it someday for the channel. Maybe. But it's really, really difficult. And Mario, luckily, already did a warp run of American Mario 2. So... am I gonna cover it? Maybe. But maybe not. I guess we'll see. Let me know in the comments if you really want me to hazard that game, and I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, if there's not the demand for it, I may not touch it. Speaking of demand, I demand that these Hammer Brothers go away. I don't like Hammer Brothers. Usually he'll jump down to that middle section here, but this time he decided to be a pain in the butt and do that. Earlier I was mentioning that you can find power-ups in these. Well, these are perfect examples of that. Both sections of 8-3 with Hammer Brothers, spoiler alert, there's more than one, have power-ups. Now ideally, I would have not gotten hit there, fought these Hammer Brothers, gotten the power-up, and had a Fire Flower going into 8-4 to deal with the final Bowser. However, I did not get lucky, and I am Small Mario, which means I'm going to be regular-sized Mario. That's a problem for multiple reasons. There are Hammer Brothers coming up, and Fire Flower generally makes these guys easier to deal with. Now that guy jumped, I didn't expect him to do that. So I am Little Mario going into 8-4, and there are no power-ups in World 8-4. So what I go in with is what I have. So here we go, going into the final level of Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Hoping for the best and being prepared for the worst. 8-4, by the way, is a maze. If you go the wrong way, you get sent back to the beginning of the section. Or the beginning of the level. I'm not sure, actually, come to think of it. You always have to do this if you want to beat the game, so I've got the maze memorized at this point. So it's been a very long time since I've done a misstep. You know, humble brag, humble brag. Now, I jumped up against that brick right there, because if you get it pixel perfect, you can jump off that gray brick down there and go right up to the pipe. It's a pixel perfect technique that speedrunners use, and I am not quite that adept at it. So I tried it, I failed, we moved on. Oh, and yeah, there's an underwater section in a castle, and say hi to the pink neon pipe, which I always thought was really, really cool looking. It's something else you don't see. Also, you know, normal people might be asking, hey, how's there fire underwater? But Mario's fireballs work the same way, so let's not question it. Okay, here we are at the last section of the castle. We have a Hammer Brother that I was able to knock out with relative ease. And Leap of Faith! And we made it! That Leap of Faith was all we needed. So, we've done it, guys. We've rescued Princess Peach, or Princess Toadstool, whichever you want to call her. Our quest is over. If you hit button B, you get a new quest where some of the Goombas are replaced with harder enemies. We're not gonna go there. But that's Super Mario Bros. For the original Nintendo Entertainment System. And this has been our anniversary celebration on the channel. Thanks for sticking with me through a year of shenanigans, and here's to many more years to come. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends, let them know that we're doing a thing and it's pretty fun, or maybe you don't like it, I don't really know. Either way, thanks for sticking with me, guys. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I love making content for you guys. I hope that we grow and I can do even more in the future. But until that time comes, I'll see you guys at the start of the next video on Friday, and I'll see you all later. Bye.